Have you ever walked away from a fight?
No.
Why is that?
Because if you step to me, then you just gotta get beat. I'm not gonna walk away and make myself look bad. So.
Is it self-pride or is it just you want to fight?
It's a name to uphold.
No.
And why is that?
Because I don't want to look like a punk.
No.
Why not?
Because I don't get in fights much. So.
No. Why not? Because I don't like walking away from fights. It makes me feel like I'm a chicken.
Me personally, no.
Why not?
Because not that many people mess with me, and when they do, it's not a good outcome. So.
Have you ever walked away from a fight?
No.
Why not?
Because the way I was raised, somebody hit you, you hit them back.
You value your reputation more than you fear the consequences of fighting. Now let's hear from a few people that acknowledge the consequences of fights.
I grew up in the inner city. I grew up in the projects. Got in a bunch of trouble when I was younger. I did 15 years in prison for bank robberies. Totally not impressed, but when I got inside the prison, I started making decisions what I want to do with my life. Did I want to change? Do I want to continue to live the same life? So when I came home, I got involved in community activities, started getting involved with the male involvement group, started going back to the schools and the programs and the prisons and starting to speak, telling my story and hope that if nothing else, it can save one person. I mean, there's the majority of people that have made that one decision that cost them 40, 50 years of their life. If they can redo it all over again, I'm sure 99.9 would probably have did another different type of outcome.
I became a community leader just because of the fact that I realized that as a person who had been through all of that it was very important for me to give back and for me to try to stop other young people from going through the life that I had, because all my friends, every last one of them, are still in jail and they are never coming home. They either kill somebody or they sold enough drugs that they got life imprisonment. So that's the real deal right there.
But a couple of years ago, one of the star players for UConn, the football team, went out one evening with the guys. They got into a simple argument, simple fight. He hits the kid, right? There was nothing to the punch, but the kid falls, hits his head on the curb, and he dies. That's what people don't realize. Girls, one of the things girls idolize the most is their beauty. I look like this, I look like that. But what happens when they're getting into fights? They're scratching faces, all right? I've seen box cutters being used, all right? Why? Why take a chance of being disfigured because of gossip? You know it's not true. You know you didn't say it, all right? And one thing you have to realize too, that in school especially, there's a lot of resources you could turn to, all right, to avoid a conflict.
Homicide is the leading cause of death for African American males between age 15 and 34, and it's the second leading cause of death for Hispanic males in that same age group.
The look in their eyes, their face, the devastation, no matter how minor it is, all right, you could never understand it. It has hurt me to relay information like that, because you understand the sorrow and you understand the love that that parent has for that child.
You want to protect your own, and you've got all of your buddies that you're trying to protect. What you're not thinking about is, how is this going to affect me? What's going to happen to me? And when that knife comes out, or that punch gets swung, and it hits you the wrong way, and it knocks your neck, and it breaks your neck, and you come into the emergency room and I'm trying to keep you breathing, and the doctors are saying, you know what? This poor kid, he's not going to walk. He's not going to be able to move his arms. He's not going to be able to breathe on his own. So what I need to do as a respiratory therapist is I need to attach you to a ventilator, and that ventilator is going to keep you breathing for the rest of your life. And that ventilator has some tubings to it, and that's going to hook you up and it's going to help you to breathe. But you got to remember, because of that thought that you had when you're in the fight, or that thought that you had before you swung your fist, or the thought that you had before the knife came out or the gun came out, was you're just thinking about how am I protecting everybody else. But then just like that, what happens is that you're the one on the gurney in the emergency room attached to a ventilator, and you can't breathe for the rest of your life. So what happens then is the cycle goes on that you can't breathe on your own, move on your own, eat on your own, and you're just attached to this breathing machine, the respirator, and that's your existence for the rest of your life, because you can only move as far as that tube will let you go. So whether it's laying in the bed, and remember you can't move, or in a chair, but you can't move there because people have to move you and people have to feed you now and change you, and sometimes you can't digest food anymore, so you can't eat food anymore. So all the pleasures of your life are gone, all of them. And what's happening is you didn't think. It takes that second to change your life, that second to change your life. If you just rewound and said, you know, I'm walking away. I'm putting the knife down. Guys, let's go. Walk away.
In 2011, the most recent year for which we can find data, over 700,000 young people between ages 10 and 24 were treated in emergency rooms for injuries that they got while fighting. Do you guys know anyone who is crippled or in a wheelchair because of a fight?
There are many real men who walked away from fights. Let's hear their stories.
When I was in high school, I remember this guy came up to me one time. He told me my mother was a W. We all know what that is, right? Yes. So I just simply looked at him and said, is she? Is she any good? Couldn't say anything after that. So sometimes you have to be smart about your approach to conflict. You don't have to get into a conflict. You don't have anything to prove to anyone but yourself. And by being a wise and smart person, you walk away from a conflict. The only time a conflict should ever ensue is if someone's going to be physically hurting you. Other than that, words, let them roll up your back and keep walking.
Yes, I have walked away from a fight. And he wanted to fight me. So it's around like 6th period in school. We coming back from gym. We walking, talking, yeah. And I see Ralphie, because he wasn't talking to me the whole day, come up behind me and like try to get a cheap shot. And he pushed me into the locker. And he was like, oh, you didn't want to fight me before, but you want to fight me now. So everybody was like, ooh, Philip's not going to fight. Philip and Ralphie going to fight. So I don't feed into peer pressure. I don't feed into hype, and I've been doing this since a very young age. And I ended up walking away, and everybody ended up calling me a punk. But in the long run, 3 weeks later passed, and that kid Ralphie ended up getting jumped and ended up getting kicked out of school because he started to fight alone, the same situation. So what I learned from that experience was that it's not cool to fight. It's not right to fight. If someone feels some type of way, let them feel that type of way. Just ignore it and walk away.
Best thing to do is to speak to the person privately. Just you and that person really talking it out, you know, and then you're both sincere in what you're trying to accomplish, which is whatever that difference is, whatever that conflict is.
Yo, quick. What's the time you been about my girl, bro? What do you want from me, dog? Yo, you get out of my face.
I'm a bad dude. And somebody, but I had a gun in my mouth. I'm a bad dude. But, you know, I'm only here because I stopped thinking like you. I was like, you know what? It ain't about my rep, man. It's about me staying alive. That's what it's all about. I'm gonna live another day for me to maybe have a rep that day I was a punk. Yeah, I was a punk that day. And I gotta be honest with you. I've had some of them dudes right there talking that stuff to me for a couple of years. They was trying to see me, oh, you punk, you know, punk one. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And you know where they at now? They're locked up. And you wonder, I'm a program director, I'm a personality, I'm all over the community, I'm on television, I got kids coming to talk to me, blah, 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 blah. It's a beautiful thing, right? But you know, I chose to rather be a punk about it so I could live.
I don't want to be in a jail cell for life, for nothing.
See, I wouldn't, along with what Josh said, I wouldn't want to be in jail my whole life. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like if it's a certain problem where somebody put their hands on me, then it's a warning. I'm gonna let you know don't do it again.
I wouldn't want to be up in a hospital bed for the rest of my life for one dumb decision.
Judging by the research that we've done now, and like, I see it's basically pointless to fight when it's really not necessary, you know? It's just, if you can't get your words across, just walk away. It's not worth it.
Unless the person's trying to harm you,
Yeah.
then you can fight. But other than like, you know, arguing and then it leading to a fight, that's pointless.
Conflict is not worth it anymore.